men are good. And is there such a thing as patriarchy? And if there is, did women help build it? And why the heck are bluebirds blue? That's a lot of questions, right? But let's start with the bluebirds. Maybe the most interesting piece. Those bluebirds are fantastic little critters. So blue, incredibly blue. But why are they blue? Why are they so blue? Because the females choose the mate. And they choose the mate with the deepest blue. Isn't that interesting? So basically, bluebirds are blue because that's what the females choose. Now, it's interesting, too, that they found that the depth of the blue in the male bluebirds is a partial indicator of his immune system and his immune capacity. So she's choosing wisely if she chooses a deeper blue. But that's why they're blue. Interesting, right? Good old bluebirds. And then we have the bowerbird. This is a female bowerbird there. And guess what she wants? She wants the best bower she can ever imagine. And so she starts mating when she's about 2 years old. But the male bowerbirds don't start mating until they're 6, 7, 8 years old because they've got to spend time figuring out how to make these bowers. Look at one of these. That's a bower from a bowerbird. Isn't that fantastic? He collects all these little trinkets and things and bottle caps and puts it around and makes a curved nest like that. And why does he do that? He does it because that's what the female wants. She wants the best bower. She wants something unique, and that's what he tries to put together. And guess what happens? If she chooses that bower to be the one that she likes the most, boom, sex on the spot. So he's got reproductive access immediately. So that's why the males try very hard to build the best bower they can. And they also try to ruin the other males' bowers in the neighborhood because they want to win, right? That's kind of the way it works. There's another one with blue something. I don't know why they like blue so much. And here's one where he put feathers in the middle. But the bowerbirds strive hard to give the female what she wants, her choice. She wants a good bower. They work hard to figure out how to make a good bower. Yes, there she is. And how about gorillas? Gorillas are fascinating. Gorillas run in groups, and usually one group will have one silverback, the male head of household, and a number of females, sometimes other males. And they all plod along. They're kind of nomadic. They go from place to place. And sometimes the groups of gorillas will run into each other. And when they run into each other, guess what happens? The males beat their chest, and they do all kinds of things to make themselves look as tough and rough and tough as they can possibly be, right? Why are they doing that? They're doing that because the females want the toughest, roughest guy who can protect them. And so when they cross paths with another group, the males will try and make it look like they're tougher than the other guy. They're trying to give her what she wants. She wants someone who's tough. She wants someone who is able to protect her at all times. And so he's trying to prove to her that that's what he has. So, we're seeing a pattern here. The pattern is females choose and males compete. Females choose, males compete. With the bowerbirds, with the gorillas, the males will tend to compete and work towards trying to give the woman, the female, what she wants. Okay? Interesting, right? And there's well, let's skip that and go to someplace else. What do human females want? What do human females want? Well, they have choice, right? Females have choice. How many times have you seen the phrase or heard the phrase female choice or woman's choice? Lots, right? Go search it on the internet and see what pops up. All kinds of things pop up. But plug in male choice or man's choice and see what happens. Well, I'll tip you off. Not very much. There is a cologne or an aftershave or something that's called male choice, but that's about it. That's about it. So really, the females we're seeing now from animal populations and from human populations, the females have choice. They have some choice. I mean, think about a woman's choice. Marriage, she chooses who to marry, right? At least primarily. Sometimes it's both. But generally speaking, if you could generalize, you'd say the women are the ones that have choice. Look at the guy down on his knees, and she's deciding whether he's the one or not. So let's see now. If there are 50% of marriages that end in divorce, who chose poorly? And then in the second marriages, it's 63% divorce rate. Who chose poorly? And in third marriages, it's 74%, I think. That's a lot of bad choices, right? But have you ever heard anyone talk about how women need to try and choose better? Probably not. Interesting, right? So the divorces, there's a lot of women making some pretty bad choices, right? But how about domestic violence? In domestic violence, the woman chooses a spouse who's going to beat the crap out of her. And what happens? We blame the man. Well, and he's certainly partly to blame, but how about her choice? But here's the kicker. They go to domestic violence stuff and they get blah, 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 and he goes to jail probably or whatever. She comes out, and within a year, guess what happens? She finds another man who's going to beat the crap out of her. Another bad choice. You'd think these domestic violence places would be teaching women how to choose better, right? Because a big part of the problem is they're choosing the wrong guy. Oh boy, and sometimes for the wrong reason. Jails, serial killers in jail. Did you know that some women will flock to serial killers and propose marriage to them? Why? Well, if you look back, the hunter-gatherer tribes in South America have been studied. And one of the things they found was that 20 to 40% of the male population in these hunter-gatherer tribes were killed by invading tribes. 20 to 40% of men. So that meant that, first off, it's dangerous to be a man in one of these tribes, but secondly, it's important for the women to have a husband who is going to be able to protect her in such a dangerous kind of place, right? What they found was that the men who had killed another man were more valuable in marriage. And the more men he had killed, the more valuable his choice, because the women knew that guy, if he's killed a lot of men, he's going to be able to protect me. So for thousands of years, this kind of thing's gone on. And I'm guessing that the whole thing with the serial killers and the women proposing for marriage is a spin-off from thousands of years of that kind of thing, where knowing, they have to depend on their safety. Anyway, dating. Women have choice about dating too. They choose. Okay, so what does she want in a man? Who is she going to choose? Right? Who is she going to choose? She's going to choose the guy who's a success and who wins at things, right? She's going to choose the guy who wins and the guy who's successful. That makes sense. She's going to choose the guy who's got control over resources. She wants to have it so that he can take care of her, can keep her safe, and provide for her, right? So control over resources. High status. She is going to move for someone who's got high status. Kate Upton, beautiful woman. Who did she choose? The boy next door? No. The guy who committed the crime downtown? No. She chose, what's his name? Verlander, the pitcher. Makes millions of dollars, right? He's top status, high status male, control of resources, success, winner, etc., right? Dominant. She wants someone who's going to be dominant. If you're going to win, you've got to be dominant. That's kind of the way it goes, right? And that's what she wants. Strong and able to protect. That's another piece. Now, I can hear some women out there saying right now, but that's not who I wanted. I wanted someone who was soft and kind and cuddly and would be good with the kids and la 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 la. And I just say, I want you to think of all those characteristics in the guy who's homeless down the street. He's got everything except he's homeless. Are you going to marry him? The answer is no, because the priority for her decision is not whether he's sweet and nice. It's whether he's successful, whether he's capable of providing, whether he's strong, a winner, whether he's independent. Independence is one of the variables that flows throughout all of this stuff. The man who is independent is chosen by the women. The man who is dependent, I don't think so. Homeless man, dependent. Anyway. So, we've taken these kinds of things, success, winner, control of resources, high status, dominant, strong, able to protect. All of these things have been things that men for years and years and years have tried to do in order to be the one who's chosen for reproductive access, right? To get the girl. You get the girl by doing these things. And guys, you have been basically biologically programmed, at least in part, by testosterone. And I did a video on testosterone and precarious manhood, which I'll link up in the corner there. You can see that. I would highly suggest you look at it because, our biology is pushing men to strive for status, to do the very things we're listing here: success, winner, control of resources, high status. Our testosterone is pushing us in that direction. It's encouraging us to do that. And so as men, that's what we do. It's like the bowerbird. That's what he did. He wanted to make that bower because that's the woman's choice. And this is what women choose. So this is what men have tried to do. But guess what's happened, guys? Guess what's happened? Now we've taken all the things we've listed here: success, control, high status, dominant, strong, able to protect, and turned them into something they call toxic. Oh boy, can you believe it? Yeah, they've turned things upside down, all right. And they've turned these qualities into something they call toxic, something wrong with masculinity rather than something that's right with it. Toxic masculinity, is pushed by feminism, academia, media, educational systems, Hollywood, all of them pushing this idea of toxic masculinity, which takes the very same qualities that men for centuries have used in order to obtain reproductive access and turns them into something bad. Men are too aggressive. Men are too competitive. Men take too many risks. They're too status-oriented. They're too dominant. All of those things are very similar to the pieces we talked about just in the last slide. How about that? So we've turned everything on its head and turned masculinity into something that it's not. And we come out with things like movies called The Mask You Live In, which is all about feminists saying that boys live in a mask and they're hiding their feelings. Well, ladies, why do they hide their feelings? Because men who are open about their feelings in public, unless they're at the top of the hierarchy, normal men who are open about their emotions and cry in public, drop down in the hierarchy. They go down because they look like they are dependent. Okay? But that's not what these people say. These people say boys have a mask on that covers their true self. And if only they could take the mask off, they could be real. In other words, what they're saying is they could be like women. They could be like girls, because these people are so slanted and so daggone blind that they think that the female way is the only way to do things. Can you believe it? That's narcissistic as hell. They believe that their way, the female way of emoting, is the only way. And so they make movies like this, The Mask You Live In, telling these young boys, don't compete so much. Don't be so aggressive. Don't try so hard. Emote, 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 right? Oh, boy. The mask you live in. Well, let me tell you something. There's two feminists who were the producers of this movie. And who were they? Let's see. They were Maria Shriver and, what's her name? Jennifer Sebald. So they're the producers of this movie. They're the ones that are telling these boys, now boys, you need to emote in public. You need to not be aggressive, not try too hard, not be so competitive. Be nice, be sweet, be gentle, be like me, right? That's what they're saying. But wait a minute. Who did these two marry? What men did these two choose? Did they choose the homeless guy on the street? Did they choose the guy who's going to be gentle, sweet, and calm all the time? I don't think so. Maria Shriver chose Arnold Schwarzenegger, the alpha of them all, right, Maria? Yeah, there they are, Maria and Arnold. So she's teaching these boys, don't be an alpha. But she marries an alpha. And how about Jennifer? Who did she marry? Uh-oh, there's Jennifer. Who'd she marry? Jennifer married, what's his name? Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Another alpha. So they're saying one thing to the boys, but they're doing another. Do as I say, not as I do. Seems to me they might have been better off if maybe they'd spent some time teaching girls how to choose differently. I talked with Warren Farrell about this one time. He and I both agreed that if women would choose differently, if they would choose men who were sweet, nice, etc., that the world would change overnight. Imagine if women overnight changed and said, we want men who are calm, men who've meditated, men who are just easygoing. Overnight, you'd find men in this country beating the feet to ashrams to learn how to be calm, learn how to meditate. I've been meditating for 30 years, right? Yeah, because men will tend to do what women want. Women want that alpha. Women want, just like Jennifer and Maria, they want the alpha. They want someone who's successful like Kate. They don't want the homeless guy. But if they chose differently, men would probably become different, eh? Now, what do we see here? We see two bighorn sheep, two males who are getting ready to bust each other, right? Because that's what they do. They know that what the females want the guy who's top, who's going to bust the other guy's head better than the rest of them, right? And so they go out and they bust each other's heads until one is at the top, and that's the one who gets the best reproductive access. But imagine this now. Imagine just for a second that here's this young buck, this young bighorn sheep, and his mama comes and says to him, Junior, don't butt heads. That's toxic sheep. Don't be a toxic sheep. Don't butt heads. Because that's exactly what we're doing to our boys today. We're telling them, don't be toxic. Don't do what you naturally are programmed to do. Now, it doesn't mean that we want to go out and make all boys bullies, but we do need to help boys understand that they're biologically pushed to strive for status and to want to win and to want to compete and to want to get out there and do well. So we need to help them with that. At the same time, help them learn how to lose too. You got to do both things. Anyway, so we're sending some crazy messages, harmful messages to boys and to young men and to men in general about masculinity. Just absolutely nutty. I hope you've gotten from this video that men tend to be the competers in human populations and women tend to be the choosers in human populations. But guess what? It's not always like that in the animal kingdom. Nature's pretty smart, and nature can teach us a whole lot. One of the things it teaches us is that in some animal populations, I think the seahorse, there's a certain type of bird and this and that, but in some populations, it's the female who's the competitor and the male who's the chooser. And guess what happens in those populations? That's where the females become more aggressive, more violent, stronger, larger, and shorter lifespans. Because they are the competitors rather than the choosers. There's so much we can learn from nature and so much that we can see that feminism has been feeding us lies about men and women for a long time now. We really need to stand up and say no to this bullshit. This crap of men as oppressors and women as victims. It's a lie. It's a big fat lie. And we need to understand that is a lie. We need to stand up to them. We need to stand up and give the daggone legislators a role model to stand up and say no to this crap, because they've not been saying no to this crap for a long time, and it's left us in a big mess. even though we're in a mess, I want you to keep in mind that men are good, as are you. We'll see you.